What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video and welcome to part 2 of eSports Box Club Dream Matchups, which is where we take the roster that we currently have in ESBC and we make dream matchups we can't wait to do in the game. The first episode was very well received, and in a couple videos later there was actually a request to do a second part, so I thought we would do a part 2. Now, as always, we might stretch the parameters of weight classes. For example, welter versus super welter or welter versus middle, something along those lines, but we won't go like heavyweight versus middleweight, nothing crazy like that. I'm not going to talk about who I think would win in real life. That's up to you guys to discuss in the comments. And last time I had some really brilliant insights, some really brilliant comments to read. I genuinely loved reading the comments for episode 1 of this series thing. Now, this was a really tough video to make because obviously we done episode 1 where we picked 5 awesome fights, and there are so many fucking fighters in this game. Not to mention, I tried to stay away from brother versus brother and son versus dad. So I've stayed away from the Klitschko fight with Vladimir and Vitaly fighting each other, and then the likes of Conor Benn and Nigel Benn fighting one another. I've stayed away from those, although those are great matchups. Now, in this video, we're going to have 5 and 1 honorable mention, so let's jump into it. Now, for the first one, we have got welter versus super welter, and I wanted to put Conor Benn in one of these, so we have got Conor Benn versus Sebastian Fendora. Now, they're both young guys, both probably rated around the same in the game, I would imagine. Likely that this fight will never ever happen in real life. But obviously, you've got 19-0 against 17-0, both with 12 KOs. Now, Ben at 5'8" and Sebastian at 6'5". Fuck knows how he makes super welter. I genuinely have no clue. But I just thought this is a really fun fight, mainly because I wanted to see what Conor Benn's like more in the game. But also, a lot of people spoke about Sebastian Fendora in the game, being that he's going to be a real pain. 6'5", what is it, like 80 fucking something inch reach? He's going to be a real pain. And I thought this fight would generally be cool, just because I like Conor Benn. You know, I could see him getting nit and grit and fighting on the inside and kind of annoying Sebastian Fendora. But then Fendora is no stranger to fighting on the inside. He is, you know, for the range that he is, the length that he is, the quite skinniness that he is, to have 12 knockouts and only 5 decisions in your career, you know, that for me was a pretty interesting fight when making this list. Now we go up to the cruiserweight division, and I have moved one fighter back down from heavyweight, and that is Alexander Usyk against Johnny Nelson. Now, 2 of the best cruiserweights that we have in the game right now, at least when it comes to stats and experience in that division. Obviously, Usyk being the former unified, then Johnny Nelson having the longest title reign of the cruiserweight division. Obviously, we have Lawrence Akali, but with his own, he hasn't even had a defense yet at the time of recording this video, so I couldn't really put him at top 2 for the cruiserweight. I think top 2 for cruiserweight will be Alexander Usyk and Johnny Nelson, then Lawrence Akali right below that. Good to put 2 cruiserweights together, both natural cruisers, instead of when I put Roy Jones up to cruiser in the first episode. I thought this was a really good one just for an actual good cruiserweight matchup. Obviously, Usyk's incredible movement and skill, Johnny Nelson's skill, Johnny Nelson's incredible title reign that he had. You know, the dude's got grit. And for me, I just thought cruiserweight's same as like heavyweight. It's a bit of a lackluster division, both in real life and in the game. I mean, it's got great fighters in, don't get me wrong, but it's not a roster that, it's not a division that people will say, oh my god, did you hear the cruiserweight fight coming? It's always the heavyweight or the middleweight or the welterweight. The cruiserweight, I feel like, often gets left in the dust in the boxing world, so I had to put that in the list, and I thought Johnny Nelson versus Usyk was a pretty good fight. Now, this is a weird one. This is middle versus super middle, with only a couple of pounds difference between the two. This is truly new era versus old era, experience versus inexperience, and that is Edgar Balanga versus Jake LaMotta, or LaMotta, however you pronounce his last name. Now, LaMotta is 4 inches smaller, 6 inches less reach, but obviously he actually has more losses than Edgar Balanga has had fights or wins in the pro rank. It's a round 1 KO machine. Obviously, I know Balanga went to decision in his last fight against a man who has just had wars. I mean, he's one of the men to beat Sugar Ray Robinson. Admittedly, he did lose to Sugar Ray Robinson a couple of times. This man has had wars. You know, I was looking through the middleweight division. I was like, what would be a good fight for Balanga? What legend would be good to fight him? And I don't know why. Something just said to me, this would be an interesting fight. And obviously, this is the true definition of old era versus new era. This is someone that has beat and lost to Sugar Ray Robinson, arguably one of the best fighters to ever live, against Edgar Balanga, a big up-and-coming middleweight. Knockout power for days. 16, I believe it was, round 1 KOs in a row. I mean, this fight is interesting. For me, like I said, I don't want to predict, but I feel like for a lot of you guys, you're just going to say, nah, Balanga would lose that. He hasn't got the grit, the experience to take on someone like LaMotta. But it'd be interesting to hear your guys' thoughts on that fight. Now we go down to super lightweight with two great super lightweights, and that is Josh Taylor against Ricky Hatton. Now, neither men are strangers to wars. Obviously, Josh Taylor's last 5 or 6 fights have not been easy. Ricky Hatton loves to get in your personal space and just throw shot after shot after shot. I'm not sure why this fight came to me. When writing this list, this was one that I thought of right after the first one that I read, and I just thought this is a cool-ass fight. You know, they say styles make fights. In contrast to both their styles, I think it's brilliant. Who will employ their style first? Obviously, you know, when it comes to eSports Sports Club, it's who's going to be more in control, who's going to be more experienced player. But I feel like two experienced players, this fight could really go either way. Hatton's style is always fun to watch. Josh Taylor is no stranger to adjusting to wars, to damage, to given and taken. This is a really interesting fight for me, and this is one that I definitely want to see the top players of the world in eSports Sports Club do, as well as the computer actually simulate. I think that would be quite fun. Now we go on to the honourable mention before we get into number 1, and that is Butterbean against Eddie Hall. I mean, come on, they'd both be exhausted by round 5. It would be funny as fuck. It would be exciting. Big punch power, we assume from Eddie Hall anyways. Butterbean obviously has got the big punch power. Just thought it would be a funny fight. Thought it would be a funny honourable mention. And yeah, let's jump into the number 1 pick for this list. Now, we stay in the heavyweight division from the honourable mention. We're going to stay in the heavyweight division. Now, this was a fight I thought of instantly when writing this second list out for this video. Now, this is 49-0 against 30-0. This is 5'10" against 6'9". That is Rocky Marciano against Tyson Fury. Now, not to mention size and reach and weight difference between these two. You've also got undefeated records. A combined 79-0, which is just fucking insane. This fight is something I really want to see. I honestly, I want to see it in real life. Obviously, that will never happen. But I just want to see this fight. I don't know why. Sometimes there's those fights that maybe other people won't understand, but for me, I don't know why this fight was just like, you know, Rocky Marciano had something like 40-odd, 41, 42 or something. I think it was 42 knockouts or something like that. Obviously, Tyson Fury's getting a bit more punch power lately. This is a really interesting fight. Does Rocky Marciano get on the inside and not let Tyson breathe so Tyson can't really let off his shots? Or does Tyson just bing him with shots for 12 rounds or for 6 rounds and put him to sleep halfway through the fight? I mean, it is awesome, you know. So, it's dead interesting. I don't know, that fight just said something to me, and I was like, that's fucking sick. Like, that's a fight I'd want to see. And yeah, I mean, you know, not to mention weight difference, height difference, reach difference, punch power difference, experience difference. You know, it is madness. You know, both men have been dropped, but both men are still undefeated. Obviously, Tyson Fury does have that one draw that we could dispute, but regardless of that, a combined 17-9-0, 5'10" against 6'9". It would be a spectacle to behold. It would be a great fight to see, but you know, I look forward to seeing it in the game, and you know, in due time we will be able to do these fights, and trust me, I will be doing them. All the ones from these last 2 lists, from this list and the one before that, I will be doing. I promise you guys that. So, you know, but let me know yours if there's any that you want to see, like if any you think is really cool, or what do you think of my list. You know, last time someone left a really awesome comment that was about how each fight would go, and it was epic to read, and I really enjoyed it. And I told them that as well. I said what a great read that was, and I generally did enjoy reading it. You know, so let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe down below for more. We are on 7,000 subscribers, and yeah, thanks always for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.